Hi, welcome to this basic Python tutorial from Aao Code Kare. I am Nida Attaraut. You can connect with us on WhatsApp, Discord, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. What is Python? Python is a general-purpose programming language. It is an interpreted, high-level, object-oriented programming language with dynamic semantics. Its design philosophy emphasizes code readability with its use of indentation to denote blocks of code and requires explicit declaration of variables. Python is dynamically typed and has large standard library. Certain advantages of Python are it is easy to use and learn, object-oriented, expressive language, interpreted language, large and friendly community support, open source. Certain disadvantages it is not the fastest, not easily convertible. Let's type our first line of code. Click over here to generate a new cell. Type print, parenthesis, inverted commas. Python supports both double and single inverted commas. Press Shift Enter, or you can click over this button to execute the cell. Here we have our result. The print function in Python is used to display output on the console. Variables. Variables are named location in memories that store values. You can correlate variables with your phone book. So whenever you wish to call a friend, you don't necessarily type out their number. Instead, you just type their name and their contact details are fetched. Similarly, values or data in programming language get stored somewhere in the memory. To easily fetch that particular value, we assign a variable name to it. Certain rules for naming variables. They should be descriptive and easy to understand. They should start with a letter or an underscore. They can only contain letters, numbers, and underscores. They should not be keywords in Python. Keywords in programming language are words that have special meaning to the compiler and are used to write instructions. They cannot start with a number. Python is case sensitive, which means capital A stores different values than small a. In this example, capital A has the value Aao Code Kare. If I want to retrieve this value, but instead in the print function I type small a, it will give me an error. Variable names cannot start with a number, so it's showing an error. Concatenating variables in print function. Concatenation is the process of combining two or more strings with the help of plus operator. We use \n to print on a new line. Input type. This is used when you want input from the user. In this, we have X input, enter your name. String formatting. Now before understanding string formatting, let us look at indexing. Indexing is accessing an element of an array or list using its position. The concept of indexing is same as that in our books, where each chapter has a specific index. In Python, indexing starts from 0, which means that the value 1 has index 0, value 2 has index 1, and so on. The format method in Python allows you to insert values into a string in a formatted way. In this example, we are printing the formatted string by inserting values based on index. So whatever value is on index 1 will come over here, and whatever value is on index 0 will come over here. In this, indexing starts with 0, so future is on the 0th index and Aao Code Kare is on the first index. Next, and this we are formatting within the print function itself. In this example, we are formatting using variable name. So whatever values of the variable, they will get formatted on the specific locations or placeholders. We can even use format in loops. Operators. Operators are used to perform operations in programming language. First we have mathematical operators, that is addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, floor division, power, modulo. We have two variables over here, x equals to 10 and y equals to 3. So x plus y, that is 10 plus 3, will give us 13, and so on. X divided by y, that is 10 divided by 3, gives us 3.333. If I want to round it off to the nearest integer, I will use floor division. The modulo operator returns the remainder after dividing two numbers. That is 10 divided by 3 is the remainder is 1. Bitwise operator. Bitwise operators are used to perform operation on individual bits of a number. And sets each bit to 1 if both bits are 1, or sets each bit to 1 if one of the bits is 1. XOR sets each bit to 1 if only one of the two bits is 1. Not inverts all the bits. Zero fill left shift. Shift left by pushing zeros in from the right and left and let the leftmost bit fall off. Signed right shift. Shift right by pushing copies of the leftmost bit in from the left and let the rightmost bit fall off. Assignment operators are used to assign values to variables. Let us understand them with an example. Say we have x equals to 7. So variable x will hold the value of 7. Then x minus equals to 2. So what happens over here is first it will perform the operation, and then whatever the result is, x will get assigned by that value. So x, that is 7 minus 2 is 5. So x will hold the value 5. The same goes on for the rest of the operators. First it will perform the operation, and then whatever the result is, that value will get assigned to the variable. Comparison operators. Comparison operators are used to compare two operands and return a Boolean value. Say x is equals to 10 and y is equals to 5. Now in the first condition, x double equal to y. If both the values are same, then it will return true. If both the values are different, it will return false. Over here, 10 and 5 are different values, so it is returning false. Say if I change the value of y to 10, it will return true. X not equals to y, that is true. X greater than y, which is also true. X less than y, which is false. X greater than equal to y, which is true. X less than equals to y, which is false. Logical operators are used to compare two Boolean values and return a Boolean value, and returns true if both statements are true, or returns true if one of the statement is true. Not reverses the result. Returns false if the result is true and vice versa. In this example, x less than 5 and y greater than 5. Neither of the conditions are met, so it is returning false. In this example, x greater than 5 and y is equal to 5. Both the conditions are satisfied, therefore it is returning true. X less than 5 or x greater than 5. Since for or at least one condition should be satisfied, neither are satisfying, therefore it is returning false. In this, at least one condition is satisfying, therefore it is returning true. Not, over here we saw that the value of x less than 5 and y greater than 5 is false. So whatever the result is, it will reverse it. So it is returning true. Identity operators. Identical operators are used to compare two values and return a Boolean value based on whether they are identical. Is Returns true if both variables are the same object. Is not. Returns true if both variables are not the same object. Over here we have x equals to 5. X is 5, which is true, so it is returning true. X is not 5, which is false, so it is returning false. If say I convert this to 6, so it is returning true because x is not 6, x is 5. Membership operators. Membership operators are used to check if an element is present in a sequence. N returns true if a sequence with specified value is present in the object. Not N returns true if a sequence with a specified value is not present in the object. Over here we have a list ranging from 1 to 5. 5 in L, which is true, so it will print true. 6 not in L, which is false, so it will return false. 6 not in L, which is true because 6 is not there in this list, so it will return true. 5 not in L, which is false because 5 is there in this list. Data types. To understand data types, say you are filling out a form, so your name is a string data type. Strings are used to store textual values. They are enclosed in either double quotes or single quotes in Python. A combination of both one single quote and a double quote won't work. Your roll number is of numerical integer data type. Say your age is 20.5, which is a decimal number, so its data type will be numerical float. Say we want to check whether your age is greater than 18 or not, that is yes, no, or true or false. So it is of Boolean data type. Say I want to store all of this value in one place, I can store it in a list. Now say I want this value to be fixed. I don't want anyone to change these values, so I can store it in a tuple. Now I want a combination of both name and the value, so I can store it in a dictionary in the form of key value pair. To check the data type of a variable, we use type. List array. List is an ordered, mutable, that is changeable data structure. List starts with index 0 and ends at n-1 for n number of elements. List can be assigned by list constructor or square brackets. In this we are creating a list using the list constructor. Over here we are using square brackets. We can access elements of a list using their index. We can use list in for loops. We'll understand about for loops later. To concatenate or join two strings, we use the plus operator. We can append a list, that is adding something towards the end. Appending is adding some. Now we can split or partition the list using its index. Reversing the string starts from -1 when we go backwards. You can try out these list functions. Applications of list, stack and queue. Stack is just like stacking chairs on each other. To remove the chair, you need to remove the topmost chair. That is, it is stored and retrieved on the principle of last in, first out, also abbreviated as LIFO. Over here we have an empty list named stack. So we'll push a value over here. We'll again push another value over here. So over here it is getting stacked on one another, like there is 45, then 89. Say I'll push another value. Now if I want to remove values, so I'll use pop. So the topmost or the lastmost value is removed. Next we have queue. Queue is a data structure where data is stored and retrieved on principle of first in, first out, also abbreviated as FIFO. This structure can be imagined as line for purchasing movie ticket. To buy the ticket, you join the line from one end, and after you buy the ticket, you leave from other. So we'll add a value, we'll join a value into the, we'll add a value over here. Tuple. Tuple is ordered, immutable, that is non-changeable data structure. Index starts at 0, ends at n-1 for n elements. Tuple is implemented using the tuple constructor or parenthesis. Like list, all operation methods are same for tuple except adding new elements, changing existing elements externally. Because tuple is immutable, hence cannot be changed after being created. This makes them useful for storing data that should not be changed, such as constants or data that is read from a file. In this example, we are creating tuple using parentheses. We can access elements of a tuple using index. We can partition or split tuples using indexes. If you try to change tuple values externally, it shows error like this. We can use tuples and for loops. Caution: if you have only one element in tuple, then add a comma after that, else it will consider as the data type you entered. In this example, we can see that we haven't added any comma, so it is returning the string data type. Over here, we have added a comma, so it is returning as tuple. Joining, concatenating two tuples with the help of plus operator. Tuple has special property to count repeated elements in a tuple with the help of count function. Sets. Sets are unordered and unindexed, which means you cannot predict the order of elements, and since order of elements is uncertain, you cannot find an element's index. This represents the same sets that are in mathematics. A set may have same values multiple times, but it does not print duplicate elements. You can perform all operations for list on sets and more. It certainly has all mathematical functions like disjoint, union, subset, etc. You can create a set either using curly braces or the set constructor. Difference returns a set that contains different values between the two sets. Add adds element to the set. Difference update removes the item that exists in both sets. You can use discard to discard any value. Intersection returns common elements from both the sets. Disjoint checks whether the two sets are disjoint or not. Is subset checks if it is a subset or not. Is superset checks if it's a superset or not. Symmetric difference returns a set with symmetric difference of two sets. Union returns all the elements from both the sets. Dictionaries. Dictionary is an unordered, mutable index data structure. All the values are attached to a key, just like name is key and your name is value assigned to it. You can look at like details that were asked in exam. This data type is most used in field of web development using Python to create or retrieve values from JSON file or to use in database management like SQL. It is initiated as dict constructor or inside curly braces key value, where key is the variable and value is assigned to it. Here, unlike data types above, we use keys to retrieve values. Over here, we have created a dictionary using curly braces. So we have the variable and its value, that is key value. To retrieve values, we use keys instead of indexes. To change values in dictionary, we mention the key whose value needs to be changed. To get all keys in dictionary, we can use for loops. To get all values in dictionary, we again use for loops, but instead we have to specify which dictionary. The values are written in square braces, or the values are specified in square braces. To get both keys and values in dictionary, we use items function. To add new key values, mention the dictionary in square braces, mention the key, and assign whatever value it has. To remove items from the dictionary, we use .pop. We use del to delete an item from the dictionary. Beware, if you don't add the key, it will erase the existence of the whole dictionary. Use get to get a dictionary from the nested dictionary and also to get a value. Conditional statements. Conditional statement means running a block of code until a condition is met. Just like you are running and you can run as much stamina you have. Once stamina is over, you cannot run anymore. Similarly, a set of code is in some condition, then the program starts and stops until the condition is met. These are some conditional statements. If, elif, else, while, for. If else statements. If else are just like English. If this condition is satisfied, then this result, else this result. We use elif when we have multiple if conditions. In this example, we have entered our marks as 7. So it will check this condition, which is not satisfied. So it'll come to this condition. Over here, x does not lie between 4 and 6. Again, this condition is not satisfied. So it'll come over here. As this condition is satisfied, so it'll print the result. And while loops. A while loop repeats a block of code as long as the condition is true. In this example, we are initializing I equals to 1. Then we are setting the condition while I less than equals to 10, print I and keep on increasing I by 1. So the initial value of I is 1, which is less than 10. This condition is satisfied, so it will print I. Then it will increase its value by 1. Now it is 2. Again, this condition is satisfied, so it will print I, that is 2. For loop. A for loop is a programming construct that allows you to execute a block of code certain number of times. A for loop iterates over a sequence of elements and executes. In this example, we have a list with the following elements. For I, that is every element in the list, print I, so it will go through the list and keep on performing whatever operation is assigned over here. We have print, so it will keep on printing one element at a time. Similarly, we can use it to iterate over a string. We can even use if condition in this. If I is equals to banana, break, it will break the loop. Next, we can even use it with range and numbers. Now, nested for loops, we have two lists over here, adjective and fruits. This code is iterating over the two lists, adjective and fruits, and printing all the combination of words in each list. Functions. A function is a block of code that performs a specific task and runs whenever it is called. They are used to make some tasks easier and shorten the code length. There are two types of functions, inbuilt function or built-in functions and user-defined function. Built-in functions are made by developers, owners, and a community of programming languages, which are pre-installed along with the programming language itself to ease a few steps of codes for others who wish to use it. User-defined functions are defined by the users to make some task easier and shorten the code length. These functions are not pre-installed by the language itself. We use the def keyword to create a function, then we assign certain parameters. Parameters are variables in a function definition. They are placeholders and do not have a concrete value. Or you can say parameters are used to define how many values the function requires to run. Then you specify the operation task that the function will perform. The values which are passed when you call the function are known as arguments. In this example, parameter 1 and parameter 2 are parameters and 3 and 4 are arguments. So when these arguments are passed and the program is executed, all the operations defined in the function are performed. In this example, we are taking arguments as input from the user, arbitrary arguments. Suppose you are not sure of how many parameters to be defined in the function. We use arbitrary arguments, which are denoted by asterisks followed by the argument name. In this example, we are printing an arbitrary argument values using a for loop. Arguments as keywords. In this example, we have passed arguments as key value pairs. So the values will get printed based on the sequence mentioned in the parameter and the function rather than how they are passed in the arguments. Another type of argument is arbitrary keyword argument or progs. They are used when you want to pass arguments as key value pairs but you don't want to specify how many parameters, that is, you want to keep it arbitrary. So that's when you use progs. Another type of argument is arbitrary keyword argument or progs. These are used when you want to pass arguments as key value pairs, but you don't want to specify how many parameters, that is, you want to keep it arbitrary. That's when you use progs. Progs passes n number of key argument dictionary to function on which operation of a dictionary can be performed. In other words, we use progs when we have to use arbitrary key value pairs. In this example, we have passed size 10 as progs. I can pass n numbers of key value pairs. So say I pass shape equals to square. Return. The return statement is used to terminate a function and return a value. This is useful for returning the result of a calculation or for indicating that a function has been completed successfully. In this example, instead of using print statement repeatedly after every condition, we use the return statement only once at the end of the code block, which will give us the value of y based on the condition satisfied. Global variables are variables that are accessible from anywhere in the program, while local variables are only accessible within the function they are declared in. In the previous example, x is a local variable because it cannot be used outside of the function. In the next example, we have declared x outside of the function, so it is a global variable. You can also use the keyword global to define a global variable within a function. Global variables are used when you want to keep a value constant or you want to access that particular value in another function as well. Recursion of a function is calling a function inside of itself. Let us understand this with an example. The factorial of a number is a product of all positive numbers less than or equal to that number. According to mathematical rules, the factorial of 0 is 1, and factorial only considers positive numbers. We need to specify both these conditions in our function. If we had just mentioned this line of code, these conditions would have failed and hence the purpose of our function would fail. As it was as it would give us incorrect values. So after specifying these conditions, we mention our main formula. Over here, say n is equals to 5. So it will check over here, say n is equals to 5. So it will check the if condition. This is not satisfied. So it will jump to else condition. Over here, it says n return n, that is 5, into factorial of n minus 1, that is 4. So this line is calling this function. Now the value of n is 4. So again it will check the if condition, which is not satisfied. Then it will come to else. Again, we are calling the factorial function now. The value of n minus 1 becomes 3. Again it will check this condition and keep on repeating this procedure until the value over here becomes 0. After that, it will return 1, as we have mentioned it over here. Defining n double equals to 0 and return 1 tells the interpreter that this is the base case. A base case is a condition in a recurrent. Lambda functions. Lambda functions are anonymous functions that can be used to write concise code. They are typically used when you need to define a small function that is only used once. It can have an infinite number of arguments but one expression. In this example, instead of defining the function of cube, which is a one-line expression, we can use the lambda function instead. We can also use lambda inside of a function. We can use more than one variable. OOPS, object-oriented programming, is a programming paradigm that uses the concept of classes and objects to design applications in Python. OOPS is a tool that can make programs more readable, organized, and efficient. It allows you to create reusable code by bundling data and methods together. Using OOPS, Python programmers can create complex applications that are organized, reusable, efficient, and easy to understand and maintain. As OOPS is based on the concept of classes and objects, you can say that a class is a resume template which has basic structure or format outline showing where and what details are needed. Then every individual resume created using that template becomes an object or instance of that class, as the format is same but the information is different. Let us understand this in more detail. Say we want the employee details of a company. So there are some characteristics or attributes like name, ID, etc., which every employee has. So instead of mentioning these details every time for each employee, we can create a class and call this class for every employee. Here, each employee is an object. Over here, we have passed the values in the sequence mentioned in class. So whenever I want to get some details, I will mention the object over here, employee 1, followed by the attribute name. Inheritance. Inheritance means gaining some traits from its predecessors. First, we have the parent class or the base class. So this class does not inherit any properties from other classes, but other classes can inherit properties from the parent class. The parent class is also called superclass. Child class. The class which inherits properties from parent class is known as child class or derived class. Now say I want the details of every employee. Every employee has a name and department. Now I want to know what designation each employee has. So I'll create a new class person, which will inherit attributes from the class employee. This is single inheritance. Now say I want to find out all the information about employees who are salesperson along with their quota. So I'll create a class salesperson which will inherit the person class, which has inherited attributes from the employee class. So the salesperson class will have attributes from both employee class and sales and person class. Now say I want the education details of employees. So we'll create a separate class, education details, with attributes such as degree, institution, year. Now we'll create a new class, salesperson with education. I'll call the salesperson class an education details class. This will have attributes from the salesperson class, an education detail class. This is hybrid inheritance. With this, we are done with the basics of Python. Please check out this notebook and give it a hands-on practice. Thank you.